Hello and welcome everybody to this XTB Live News. My name is Walid Koudmani, XTB Market Analyst, and in this video and in this series we're going to be talking about the main events happening in the markets this morning in the first part of the European session, what we can expect from the US session that's about to start, what to keep an eye on from the economic calendar point of view, and some maybe major moves or key levels to keep an eye out when we go and take a look at the charts. Let's start with today's news and to what happened earlier in the morning, along with the closing of yesterday's session. So, quick recap of yesterday. We had the OPEC meeting where the cuts that were previously agreed upon were extended, which had a very positive effect on the price of oil. We saw both Brent and WTI jump to the highest levels in over a year. US indices, though, yesterday slumped and dropped by for the third day in a row, with the S&P dropping 1.34%, the Dow Jones by 1.11%, and the Nasdaq by 2.11%. This is the negative performance we've been seeing in indices, also echoed by a negative performance in gold, which dropped to the lowest level in a very long time and testing the lower limit of a trend line, which I'll go and show you on the chart in a minute, but dropping below $1,700 now, testing 1695, 1696. Stocks in Asia also were trading lower and finished the session lower. But today we started the European session with some attempts at an upward move from several indices, as I'm going to go and show you, but unable to extend the upward move as we head into the US session. Oil continued to move higher, as I said. Precious metals were mixed. And when it comes to currencies, the US dollar and the CAD continue to be the best performing. Pound is okay, although pulling back slightly, and the euro is mixed. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are attempting to recover, but we are seeing a pullback in those markets as well. This is all going on after yesterday's Powell speech from the Fed, where he also once again did not mention anything regarding the yields, which seem to be pressuring stocks and precious metals these days. When it comes to the economic calendar today, big event today was the NFP report that we just received shortly before, which showed an unexpected increase after the ADP. Actually, the ADP report just a few days ago showed a decrease, rather, or a below expectation increase. The NFP actually showed a well above expectation increase of 379,000 jobs in February, compared to the expectation of 182,000. And of course, the ADP report showed even less. I think it showed 117,000 just a few days ago, which is why in yesterday's webinar, the commodities special, which you can find on the YouTube channel, we talked about how the ADP report and all these reports are sometimes difficult to follow because they are not completely accurate predictors of what is going to happen in these macro reports that are very massively followed. Besides that, today we have the NFP, as I said. We have the earnings season continue in Wall Street, with big lots announcing their earnings before the session opening, and a couple of central banker speeches, one from the Bank of England and one at 8 p.m. GMT from the Fed. The Canadian trade balance also, and the US trade balance for January. Besides that, not that much happening in the markets today. Focus was on the NFP, as I said. This week, focus has been on macro reports, along with the OPEC meeting yesterday, which really was surprising. Let's take a look at the charts right now, real quick. Let's start with the DAX, the DE30. As always, we start with the German index. At the moment, as we speak, the index has managed to recover above 14,000 points, above the two moving averages. Here, the purple and yellow line that you can see, 50 SMA, 21 EMA. After starting the day with a downward gap, attempting to recover, pulling back even further, and now it seems like as we head into the US session, we are seeing this recovery and attempt to move towards yesterday's highs. The other indices, we can see the London Stock Exchange, the FTSE of London. Here we see also similar move, downward gap starting the day, and now the recovery over 2%, with the London Stock Exchange trading at 6,680, almost above yesterday's high. In fact, crossing through a potential resistance area, as you can see here, and heading for the previous highs before the downward move that we recently saw. Let's take a look at the US indices right before the open. Positive performance compared to their European counterparts. So as we see, yes, they are dropping over the course of a few days, but starting the day with this upward move, now up almost 1.2%, approaching this other moving average with the US 500 on the 15-minute time frame. 3,800 points is what they're aiming for, but which also is a potential price reaction area. As you can see here, it acted as a support in several instances. and now could be acting as a resistance. The US Tech Index, so the NASDAQ, the US 100, different situation on the 4-hour. In fact, let's take it back to the 30-minute perhaps. We can see that similar situation more to the European indices, where we saw this huge drop attempting to recover, then pulling back, and now it is actually attempting to recover at 12,500 points, although significant drop over the last few days. We can take a look how much it's dropped, almost 7.5%, if even a little bit more. The volatility index, actually important to keep an eye on, slightly higher than the last few days. As you can see, spiked in these times, but at the moment we can see that it's actually pulling back slightly. Let's take a look at gold and silver. So let's take a look at gold. This is gold on this chart. You can see gold now trading around 1696. As I mentioned, this area was going to be key. Previous support area on the daily chart. Previous price reaction area on the daily chart. And if we draw a trend line this way, you'll see that it is on the lower limit of this trend line. So gold down again today on the daily. Let's take a look on the hourly for gold, which is attempting to recover right now after stabilizing around this area. So after dropping further below 1.7, 1.8%, below the 1800 or the 1700 mark, it is now testing this area and trading laterally, consolidating, it seems. And it remains to be seen if it will try to head back up or if it will continue to the downward move, but it is quite a strong level. Silver, another key market. Let's take a look. Similar situation to gold. Silver trading around $25.17, but as you can see, similar downward move with a consolidation for the moment. When it comes to oil, main event of yesterday, as I said, look at the time that it was announced. The cuts would be extended from OPEC, and you can see a jump of 4% on Brent with an upward move after that of about 2.5%. And now we can see Brent trading at 68.58, way above previous highs here, so of $66, and now reaching the highest level in over a year. WTI also reaching the highest level since pre-pandemic times after bouncing off the upward limit of the Ichimoku cloud and gaining around 7.5%. This is the move from yesterday after the announcement, and then it continued for another almost 3%. Finally, let's take a look at the market analysis section on the platform. You can see all the currencies and their performance relative to other currencies. We can see the US dollar, one of the best performing currencies today, higher against all of these on the left-hand side, while obviously a little bit lower against the franc and the Norwegian krona. The euro, slightly worse performance than the dollar. In fact, it is gaining less than the dollar and losing against more currencies. The pound, one of the mixed currencies, but leaning on the negative, while the franc, the Swiss franc, is actually one of the more positive currencies, as we are seeing a little bit more instability and negative sentiment in the markets. The New Zealand dollar, one of the worst, as you can see, trading lower against most others. But let's take a look at a couple of pairs matched with the USD index on top of them. So on the platform, you have this feature where you can add another chart just through this compare charts. So I have the US dollar index along with the GBP pair, or GBP USD. And you can see that the downward move on GBP actually is starting to recover at the moment. If we can go on a lower time frame, even after reaching around 137.7, which is a long way down from the 141 we saw just a few days ago, as you can see on the towards the end of February. About 3% lower, but now managed to recover. This is also due, as you can see by this other chart, to the increasing strength of the US dollar, which remains quite strong. The Euro USD pair, which is the most popular currency pair, you can see that similar situation, pulling back at the moment, Euro USD around 119.2, testing this 200 SMA on the daily average. So this is 200-day SMA, simple moving average, while the USD index continues to gain, and they're almost, as you can see, symmetrical from the movements they have. So the increase in the USD generally tends to cause a decrease in this pair. And that is all for today. As I said, main focus yesterday was on Powell's speech, the OPEC meeting, while today the focus was on the NFP, which was significantly above expectations. How the markets will close out the week is unclear, but at the moment, as you see, US 500 is testing the 3,800 point, and it remains to be seen. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for paying attention. My name is Walid Koudmani, market analyst for XTB. Good luck with your trading, and have a good weekend.